All right, welcome in Pesky Pole YouTube channel. And I was someone asked me the other day about second and 10 football, forgot where, and kind of all the things you can do on it. So for college football, for example, you can create your own tournament, and same with pro football as well. But for college, you can kind of do all these different things. So all you're going to do on the main screen here is go to season tools, okay? And there's both of them here for pro and college. So I'm gonna go do a college tournament real quick. I'm going to season tools. Oh, okay, there we go. Gives you all these different things you can do here in terms of you can kind of delete a season if you created a season, which we're going to do right now. You can delete it, restore seasons when you buy new seasons and so forth, and backup seasons, all those things. So we're gonna go. You can do a playoff, okay, tournament, head to head, a league format where you can create your own leagues, free format. They have the World Cup as well, so you can do a little World Cup of college football, which is pretty cool, and so forth. You can do a season template, okay, all those things. So we're gonna do a tournament right now, and this is real simple. So you get seeded draw with top seeds home, random draw progressive. Random draw is pretty cool in that you just go ahead and you put in the teams you want to put in, and it randomly draws them out of who they play. That's pretty cool. I've done that a few times too. So we're gonna do seeded draw, top seeds at home, and it gives you a list right here. So I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna do 1983 just because 1983 was the first college football season I kind of remember. I'm 48 years old. I remember the Nebraska Miami Orange Bowl game. I remember my dad taping it for me on the old VHS tape. And I was kind of a Nebraska fan back then. I kind of like Nebraska. And if you remember that game, Nebraska went for two to win the game. They kick a field goal, they tie the game. And if they tie the game, they win the national title as well. Okay, so this is kind of pretty ballsy from Tom Osborne. And they went for two, and Turner Gill rolled out. I believe he was trying to hit Irving Fryer, and on a little rollout pass. And I'm watching the next morning, and my dad like stopped, paused the tape as the ball was in the air, and he goes, "Well, does he catch it?" Like like so he hits the play button, and it was knocked away. I think it was deflected, and I think I'm gonna hit his shoulder pad, and Miami won the national title. So it was a pretty cool thing. So season tournament. So we're gonna start. We'll just put down 9/1/83. We'll start September. We'll put my dad's birthday in there since I told my story of my dad. All right. So here we go. Select the season. So in this, there is no 1983 season. Okay. Um, these are all the seasons that come with the game. For the most part, you have to buy a few more. Like I bought 15 and 16, but through 2012, it comes with the game. But and so what you do is you go back to the greatest teams. So team 1983, 89, and I gotta go to 83 here and find some teams. Okay. So, all right, so I come up here, scroll up to 83, and it gives you like the top 50 teams from each year about in that range. I'm not sure how they determine the top 50 teams exactly. All right, so here we go. So how I do this now, okay, first of all, the one seed is going to be Miami. They won the national title. All right. So we're doing Miami Hurricanes with the one seed. Um, the two seed, I'm going to go use this website that I like to use. This is a sports reference. I'm sure you guys have used before and have college football. Okay. And so I'm going to do a 16 team tournament. You can do, as many as you want, really. I'm going to go to 83. So my mouse is being a pain today. 83. There you go. Miami won the national title. Mike Rozier, Heisman Trophy winner. okay, and so forth. I'm gonna go to polls and ratings. I'm gonna go to team ratings. Okay, so I like using this website for their SRS, which is their it stands for simple rating system, and it's used to basically your strength of schedule, um, and your margin of victory. It's not perfect, but it's better than the AP poll. The AP poll, I just don't like the AP poll, the coaches poll. Okay, so if you look at this right now, the best team rating wise in '83 was Auburn. Nebraska was 2, Florida was 3, and Miami, who won the law, was 4. Okay, but we're going to give Miami the 1 seed. Okay, and we're going to stick them up there too. But we're going to make Auburn the 2 seed. Okay, followed by Nebraska the 3 seed, and so forth. All right. So I got this written down too. But that's going to show you where I did. So Auburn is the 2 seed. Oh, went up too far. There we go. Auburn's the 2 seed. Nebraska is the 3 seed. That's all you're doing. 3 seed. Florida is the 4 seed. I've got this written down. I just want to show you the website I use, but I wrote this in advance. We did a little pre to make it a little easier and going back and forth. Florida's the 4 seed. Georgia becomes the 5 seed. Alabama becomes the 6 seed. Michigan, the 7 seed. And by the way, this is watch what happens with this. Michigan's the 7 seed. BYU, who of course wins it the following year, 84. We'll do an 84 tournament too after my next one I'll do. The 8 seed, we got Clemson. Oh, I hated Clemson Tigers. The hated Clemson Tigers for me anyway. If you're a Gamecock fan, you know what that means. The 9 seed, Ohio State. More of that. Ohio State's a 10 seed. We all know who plays the 10. If you know your college basketball brackets, you know the 7 seed plays the 10 seed in the first round. So 7 seed Michigan, 10 seed Ohio State. So how about that for a little first round matchup? We got Florida State. Oh, I went the wrong one. Oh, there we go. Florida State's up there as the 11 seed. We've got Texas as the 12 seed. We've got Iowa as the 13 seed, the Hawkeyes out of the Big Ten. And by the way, you can see these teams that are in 83 that come with the game. They're not the whole season, but you kind of see an idea of what they have in there. All right, we've got Illinois as the 14 seed. The Illini, two Big Ten teams back to back there. The 15, the Dirty Terps, Maryland. And the last is 16. You can go more than this too if you want to do more than this, but I'm going to go 16. That's what all the other college football divisions do, except for this one here. So I got my 16 teams in there. All right. So I've got the day 83 tournament. I'm going to click save. I'm going to go. I want a bye week. I want the home team stadium. I want the Hurricanes, or the national champions. I want them in order to beat them. You got to go to their place and beat them if they get that far. So I want the Hurricanes to have the event. They won it in real life. They got the advantage. They're the king of the hill. They must be knocked off. Well, home game there at their stadium. Plus, I hate neutral site games. I don't like bowl games. I like the on-campus stuff. If they do the new playoff format, the first round is on campus. All the rounds should be on campus, unless we're going to play the title game like somewhere else. Fine, but all the games should be on campus. All right, so now to find it, we come back here, play existing season. And here's all the seasons come to the game. You're going to find it over here. This is the user created game we made. So you find 83 tournament. There it is. All right, and there is your first round right there. Miami have to fix. This always happens. So going to Miami real quick. Oh, so the Miami FL thing screws it up. So I get their logo in there. Boom. Let me change that up real quick. All right, and it should look good. There we go. There's Miami's helmet. So this is the last 16. Then you can go into options and kind of how you do things. So I'm going to put injuries on, home field advantage on. I like doing the QB the most attempts. So start the guy who threw the ball the most during the season. That's kind of the main guy, and do it that way. All right, and then you got Texas, Georgia. There's a good little matchup there. Um, the bracket, I don't think I have a bracket. That's one thing I can't find where the bracket is. But you just kind of know, like they have here, the 5-12. Okay, obviously, the winner of Texas, Georgia is going to play the winner of Florida, Iowa. Okay, pretty good matchup there. Clemson, BYU at BYU. Pitt and Miami. It's a pretty good game there. Miami getting their first test, and of course, winner of this game here will play the Miami Pitt game. FSU, Alabama, Illinois, Nebraska. You could have a possible Nebraska FSU matchup there, Nebraska Alabama matchup, and of course Ohio State, Michigan, and Maryland Auburn there. So that's pretty good. So I like doing this here too, so I can kind of remember who's on what team. We'll go to Texas real quick and their real stats. I don't really know much of their guys there. I don't remember 83 Texas. I can't think of any guys that stand out right there for 83 Texas. 83 Georgia. Let's take a look at their team. Vince Dooley, the coach. John Lastinger. I don't remember much about them either. Clarence K. Played for the Broncos for a little while. There's a guy there. Defense. I don't see anybody that really stands out in terms of the name part of it right there. Let's do a little Iowa at Florida. Chuck Long. I remember Chuck Long. They had a good team in '85. Like he was young, so Chuck Long started for like 3 years. There's Ronnie Harmon down there, who's young, and he played, of course, for the Bills and a bunch of NFL teams. He was a really good back. I remember him in college, really good back in college. So Iowa pretty tough doing that. The Gators, that's what the Gators have in '83. Charlie Pell, it's before Spurrier. Wayne Peace. Neil Anderson was a great running back for the Bears. Great college running back, too. That's a pretty good team. Wilbur Marshall, 85 Bears, is on that team right there. He had 2 sacks and 2 picks that year. Who else? Ricky Teal was a pretty good Bronco receiver in there, so good stuff there for the Gators. Clemson, 83 Clemson. Let's see who they had. Danny Ford, the coach. Epley, got Kevin Mack, running back. Terrence Flagler, pretty good. Don't know the receivers. You got the Fridge on defense with 6 sacks right there. Anybody else we recognize? Brian? That's not. So that's their Clemson team. 9-1-1 that year. BYU, quarterback U back in the 80s, Steve Young. And Bosco backs him up. Remember, next year, Robbie Bosco is the guy that takes over, wins the national title from BYU. So Steve Young, 33 touchdowns, 10 picks. Good Lord. 102 rushing yards, 102 attempts right there. I don't know the receivers. Defensively, I don't know any of these guys either. But it's basically the Steve Young show. The Steve Young show. 10-1 that year. So BYU is legit. I'm probably going to play that game and probably coach BYU. Pittsburgh 83. And you got John Kangemi at quarterback. I remember him as a kid. I watched all the Pitt games growing up. I don't remember their running backs. Defensively, Chris Dolman, he was a stud in the NFL. Bill Moss, good ball player as well. So like a pretty good defense there. 8-3-1 for Pitt that year. And of course, the Hurricanes, the national champions in '83. Howard Schnellenberger, his last season as Miami coach. You got Bernie Kosar, of course. Bernie leading the way. Albert Bentley. You got Highsmith down here. Didn't get much time back then. He would be better later on. Eddie Brown was a really good receiver in the NFL. Defensively, Jerome Brown, who was a stud in the NFL. Kevin Fagan, pretty good. Winston Moss. A lot of kind of household names there for the Hurricanes. So they're a fun team to play. Florida State went 6-5, but they 6-5. They're top 16 based on their rating. So they must have had a tough schedule, and so forth. Let's take a look at the team. Kelly Lowry, I don't remember Kelly Lowry. Greg Allen, I remember Greg Allen a little bit. Jesse Hester, good receiver in the NFL. For the Vikings, I believe, in the Tecmo Bowl days. Defense, don't really recognize much defensively. So that's the Knowles there. Alabama, 83. Ray Perkins, the coach. Walter Lewis. Don't remember Walter Lewis. I'm living up north. I'm down south now. As a kid, I grew up in New York, so I didn't really know a whole about Bama '83. Wasn't a team that kind of stood out to me. So really no household names there for Bama. Illinois with Mike White as the coach. I didn't realize I'm Mike White. Jack Trudeau had a long career in the NFL. Don't know Tom Rooks. Don't know the receivers. Don't know any of the defensive guys. Jack Trudeau 10-1 the year for Illinois, so one of their better years. Of course, Nebraska is loaded. Turner Gill, I mean, one of my favorite quarterbacks as a kid in college. Didn't throw much. Ran a bunch there. Rozier with a big year, 2,000 yards. You got Tom Rathman. You got Irving Fryer down there, pretty good. Defense, let's see what they got on defense. I don't recognize many on defense. Well, that's the Cornhuskers right there. They're one of the favorites for sure. Buckeyes going to Michigan. Earl Bruce, the coach. Mike Tomczak, the quarterback. Got Keith Byers, a really good NFL career, real good ball player. I remember John Frank a little bit. John Frank played in the NFL for a bit, tight end. He was more than anything else. Defensively, I don't really see anybody here. Do I see anybody I recognize? Sean Gale. He played in the Bears, I believe, at '85 team was a safety. So not bad. 9-3 for the Buckeyes. The Wolverines. Bo Schembechler. 9-3 on the year. Steve Smith. I don't remember Steve Smith. There's so many Steve Smiths too. Don't remember Steve Smith as Michigan quarterback or Rick Rogers with a big year. Sim Nelson. I don't remember any of these guys. Rodney Lyles. I don't remember. So it's kind of a no-name team for Michigan there. The Terps. Bobby Ross. And Boomer Esiason and Frank Reich. Frank Reich's backing up Boomer Esiason. That's pretty cool. So Boomer, the big year. I don't recognize their running backs or the receivers there. So the Boomer show. I don't recognize anyone on defense. There was the Boomer Esiason 8-3 show. Going up against Auburn. And let's take a look at Auburn with Pat Dye. 10-1 that year. They're the #1 ranked team rating-wise. Randy Campbell, and of course, there he is. There he is. Bo Jackson. Look at the running back, though. Lionel James, a real good back. Tommy Agee, a real good back. Brent Fullwood, a real good back. I mean, what a running back. I mean, they run the ball like crazy. 142 pass attempts for Randy Campbell. Pat Washington, their backup, not bad. Defensively, I can see why they're good. I mean, that running game was unreal. It'll be cool to play. I'll probably play with Auburn a lot in there too, and give the ball to Bo. So that's kind of the breakdowns here. So you can do a little preview. Texas, Georgia. Let's look at the point spreads right now. You got Georgia a 9-point favorite in that one. They're the 5-12 game. Florida, Iowa, in the Swamp. You got Florida a 6-point favorite in that one. I think Iowa's the one. I like Iowa to win that game. I'm calling it right now. My upset special right there. You've got Clemson and BYU on the road. BYU a 10-point favorite over Clemson. Steve Young doing his job there. Pitt, Miami. Let's see. I'm curious about this one. In the Orange Bowl, Miami 11-point favorite. That could be a struggle for Miami a little bit in that one, though. That's not going to be a cakewalk, I don't think. FSU, Bama. Bama 6-point favorites there against FSU. Illinois, Nebraska. 11-point favorites for Nebraska in that one. Ohio State, Michigan. And that game's even. That's an even game on the books. Ohio State, Michigan. That will be a battle for sure. And that one. And then last but not least, Maryland, Auburn. And Auburn 12-point favorites over Maryland. So that's kind of how you set up a college football tournament. You do the same thing for pros, same idea, season tools, and kind of play it out and so forth. And then the cool thing is you can add this to the encyclopedia when you're done and kind of keep track of all your. Actually, you can't add the college one. I'm sorry. The college one, they can't add the encyclopedia, just pros. But great game, 2nd and 10. One of my favorites. Easy way to kind of set your own stuff up. And so I'll play this one out and keep you guys track here in the channel. I might play out a game on the channel as well. As we get down to the finals here, I could see playing. Let's see what happens. Looking through here, I can definitely see. Miami, Nebraska could definitely happen. You got the Auburn, Nebraska game was probably going to be the matchup here in the semifinals, which would be two great running teams. That'd be a really good matchup. You've got probably Miami and Florida here, maybe, but I think Florida's going to get beat. So I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, that Miami BYU game possibly is going to be a really good game. So BYU's tough. So we'll see what kind of comes out of here. I'm not sure who can beat Miami up here. So I think you might see a little rematch, Miami, Nebraska, maybe Miami, Auburn. It'll be good to see. All right, guys. Thanks again for watching. Have a great day. We'll check back later on with you guys.